Are you glad to be here this morning? It's a great day. It's February, kicking off the month of love. So we are excited today because we have Jessica Evans from Allies. She's the founder of Allies, and she's going to teach us how to be a friend, which is the great thing we all need to do during the month of February. My company, I'm Melanie Egg, for those of you that I have not met. My company is Everyday Leaders. So what I do is professional development for leadership. We just had an event in January that was called Come Alive in 2025, Live to Lead. So each year I kick off with a theme, and I encourage you to have a word for the year so that you can really step into that and believe in more about your life and your opportunities. So I know a lot of you were there, and we're having a lot of fun with the mastermind. And as personal development, I'm offering again a mastermind that starts on the 15 Laws of Growth, February the 27th. So if it's something that you want to check out, just let me know, and you get a discount for the top floor women group. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Heather Means, which is our coffee sponsor today from Griswold Home Care. And thank you for participating with us. Yeah.
Thanks for giving me
Oh, sure.
Thanks for having me. I told Melanie this is like a year in the works that I've been trying to get here, and then when I saw that there was an opening, I was like, I have an opening, so I'm going to come. I'm just going to force myself to do it. I've been following, and it's just so inspiring to see so many people get together and just share, I know we all help people in some way. But I'm with Griswold Home Care, and what we do is our goal is to let people live where they love. Whether that is at a nursing facility, independent living, assisted living, or at home, we try to prevent that, that move to a next level of care. So our caregivers are non-medical; they can help with anything, as far as transportation, personal care, cleaning, meal prep, med reminder. We work really closely with hospice and skilled agencies. I'm a huge advocate to have, the more the merrier, the more set of eyes, the more assistance, the more support. One thing different about us is we provide live-in caregivers. So it's the same caregiver that stays 24/7 with a client and or spouse in their home. And actually February 22nd, we will have our longest, it'll be 8 years. So we've had the same caregiver with this client. So she's been enabled to stay at home, which is just kind of gives me chills. Now with that, obviously, there is a cost. So we only accept private pay and long-term care insurance. But if people need to use us to spin down, like if they're needing to go on Medicaid, they can use us for a day, a week, or month. There's no contract. We can do short-term, long-term. You can use us one time a month for transportation, whatever the need may be. That we're happy to be flexible and just adjust to those needs. And then as far as staffing, I know everybody in the medical field, what's your staffing like? We can do same day, next day. So thankfully, staffing is not an issue, and we just have a really great group of caregivers that are providing assistance. So I'm super passionate. I'm actually a social worker, my background. I was a hospice social worker for 10 years, and I refer to Griswold all the time. So when the owner called and asked if I wanted to work and said I could take my kids to school and pick them up every day, I said, sure. So I still get to work with seniors and help people. And I always tell people, if Griswold isn't what's best for you, let me know. I'll help you find. If you need to go to assisted living, I'll help you do that. I'm just super passionate about letting people age in place. I love working with attorneys, banks, anything that we can do like a presentation for people. It's like a one-stop shop to let people have that information, those resources to age in place. So if you guys have any interest, you can always reach out to me, and I'll pass my cards around.
What area do you encompass?
Indianapolis down to the Kentucky border. So we're essentially everywhere. Yes. And the only county we don't do is, or the only towns we don't do are Carmel, Noblesville, and Zionsville. The Indy office has those offices, but we can go above there. We just can't do those, like Hamilton County. Yeah. Thanks for letting me speak. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's get started. started with, again, our thank yous to Katie for allowing us to come to the dance studio. We appreciate you so much, getting here early, setting up tables. And studios for recording all of our presentations. If you guys need your business, don't hesitate to reach out to him. And Jessica Evans, come on up here. She's the founder of Allies. You may have been here in November and you heard Amanda Sparks speak about Allies, and we did some role play on how it touches girls' lives that are really needing that safe space. So now you're going to meet the founder. We're going to have some fun learning how to be a friend. So awesome. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me come share today. Amanda talks about this group all the time. She loves being a part of it, and so it's fun to be here with you. Like she said, my name is Jessica. I'm the founder of Allies. We have been a nonprofit since 2011, and our mission is to empower survivors of trafficking, ages 12 to 24, through mentorship and a supportive community. So what that looks like for us is we typically receive a referral from DCS for a young lady. I think the average age is 15 when we meet her, and she's recovered from her trafficking situation, but she's usually in a placement somewhere outside of a home, sometimes a residential facility, sometimes foster care, and she's trying to navigate her life forward, and often doesn't have a lot of healthy relationships, healthy adults in her life to help her navigate. And so the honor that we have is to connect her with a mentor, and it's women just like you who are kind of a little bit older, have been down the road a little bit, but are just available to be a friend to this young lady. And so what we have seen over the years is that just having one consistent, reliable relationship, not a perfect one, because we're all human, we're imperfect, we make mistakes all the time, but that's the beauty of it, is we get to model what healthy relationships look like. And there is sometimes repair, and there's sometimes mistakes, and there are joys, and there's hard conversations, and it's all part of being able to walk forward in healthy relationships. So what's interesting is, of course, we have mentor training. Excuse me. I'm just getting over a cold, so I may have to take some drinks. We have mentor training, so we don't just have someone sign up and throw them into a relationship with a young lady that's experienced trauma. We have a lot of support and training that goes into it. So we've developed this really amazing training that we take our mentors through. And it's framed through the Developmental Relationships Framework by the Search Institute, so a lot of backed by research, evidence-based work. And as we've been doing this training with mentors, we kind of realized it's very translatable. And so as we've been training and teaching and guiding our mentors in their relationships with these young ladies, we've also benefited because our relationships that we have personally, we've started to understand a little bit better how to navigate hard situations, even like with my husband, just different conversations or different ways to approach it, or ways that I can approach it in a healthier way. And so we have a podcast, and we did a series on the Developmental Relationships Framework. We'll talk about it a little bit later. And as we had these dialogues with people, we were talking about these different ways that this translates to our everyday life, which I'll connect that. I'll share that with you if you are interested in looking those conversations up later. We said, you know what, we can take this outside of our mentor training and talk at large about what it might look like to use research-based tools and resources to help all of our relationships flourish, not just our mentor-mentee ones. So that's kind of the basis today. Obviously, I'm not assuming that people don't know how to be a friend. What I am going to bring to you today is just some practical things that we've learned along the way that have helped us in growing our relationships and making them healthier. So, sound good? Okay, but before we get started, so what we'll do today, we're going to do a core values exercise, we're going to talk about self-care, and then I'll dive in a little bit to the Developmental Relationships Framework that I mentioned from the Search Institute. So that's kind of what we'll cover today, and you'll have some practical takeaways, which I think will be fun. But we're going to do an icebreaker. Everybody loves a good icebreaker, hopefully. And so ours has to do with the beach ball. When you get your beach ball, I'd like everyone at your table to stand, and you're going to throw the beach ball to each other. When you catch the beach ball, there are questions all around. So when it's your turn, say say your name after you catch your ball. If you want to give a quick introduction, like where you work, how you're connected, and then answer the question that your thumb is on. And I'll let you choose either thumb, just depending on which question you like better. When everyone has had a turn, just sit down so that we know we're all done and we can move on to the next activity. Okay? All right, go ahead and stand up. Thank you, excuse me. Thank you for taking some time to get to know the people that you're sitting with today. Sure. It is fun, yeah. I take these everywhere I go and everyone's always like, we love it. Well, I'm gonna keep doing it then, great. So when we do our mentor training, when we do our mentor training, it's so interesting because we've got a full day, we've got some pre-work that we do online, and everyone, whenever they get in their seats, they're always like, okay, tell us about trafficking, tell us about the policies, and we're like, we will, but first we're gonna spend like the first half of the day doing some inner work and getting ourselves ready, because we know that if we don't know who we are and are in a settled place and understand our values and our worldview, then entering into another relationship with someone who's very different from us is gonna be a little disarming. And so we do a lot of work at the very beginning to really reflect on, like, okay, who are we? What are our values? What is my worldview? How do I view the world? What are maybe some of the judgments that I make? Maybe not intentionally, but just because of who I am and my circumstances and how I've been raised and my surroundings. And so we're going to do one activity that we do with our mentors that's always a favorite, and it's around our core values. So our values are the beliefs that define what's most important to you. And we all have them, whether we've done the work to see what they are and recognize them, but they really do guide our choices and our behaviors, whether we realize it or not. So we're going to do an activity with those today, and then we're going to make some connections with them. So on your table, under your unabashedly asking for mentors flyer that we put on your table, is a sheet that says core values, and on one side is a list of just a bunch of words. If you'll take that and get a pen ready, I'm going to give you about 1 minute, maybe a minute and a half. And what I'd like for you to do is just go through the list and kind of do a yes/no. So if one of these words kind of resonates with you and you're like, yeah, this is something that's important to me, you can either put a check mark by it or cross it out if it's a no, but somehow delineate two lists. So yes, this word kind of resonates with me. No, this word not as much. And I know some of you are going to be panicking because you're like, these are all good words. I want all of them to be my values. And I know, I understand. It's really hard to do. But just try to whittle down the list and a yes pile and a no pile of words that are resonating with you, even just today. I'll give you about 1 minute to do that. Let's see if I can set my timer. About 20 more seconds to try to wrap up. Okay, hopefully you made it through the list. And I know this is quick, but we want your knee-jerk reactions. Okay, so give me like a nod or a thumbs up if you kind of got all the way through. Is everybody getting close? Okay, I'm going to give you 1 more minute, and now I want you to take that yes list, and I want you to whittle it down to 5. I know. It's so hard. I know. But just think through. I'm going to give you 1 minute. What are those 5 words that really you think define you, that motivate you, that keep you grounded. What are those top 5 words? Take 10 more seconds to finalize your list. Okay, now what I'd like for you to do, we're gonna break off into groups of maybe 3 to 4, whatever makes sense at your tables. And obviously, if you don't feel comfortable sharing, you don't need to. But if you do feel comfortable, I'd love for someone in your group to share your 5 words and why you think you chose those 5. And maybe, maybe there's a very superfluous reason. Maybe there's like a really deep ingrained within you reason. And so I would encourage you to share as vulnerably as you can. I do feel like this is a group of women that we can kind of say this is a safe space. So hold each other. Sometimes we will start these activities by just kind of setting some agreements in place that like we will hold space for one another. We will not judge each other. We will encourage one another, and we can share vulnerably. And so I would hope that this is a space that you can do that. So I'm going to give you maybe 5 minutes or so, but I would love for you to just take turns sharing your 5 words and why you think you chose those 5 words. And then when we come back together, we've got one more activity that we'll do with our values words. Okay? So you can break off maybe groups of 3 or 4, and I'll give you about 5 minutes to do that.
I know there's a lot of stuff and I feel like so flexibility for me. Yes. Because it's important to me. I had spiritual because faith is one thing. Because each of those things are like family that was coming to me for something. It's and I would like things better. Yes. So and then I have my growth just by being it's just really nice that there's just
my type were
it is in lots of areas.
So I feel like spirituality of
would be very difficult.
like you grow.
Okay, why did you choose that?
And like the face to be
Because I feel like it's very
I guess it's because if
That's why I chose family over friendship, because I feel like my friend and love language. There's a very much, you know, good family. I will
and then, you know, I mean,
every situation, I know they're I guess that's just
So it's just based on,
we have a joint class on, and then we have our teacher.
this is where you are today.
But it's also.
I mean, I feel like yes.
There's so many
Okay, let's take another, just like 15 to 20 seconds to wrap up your good conversation. I would love to hear if you had any aha moments or any good conversations that you think the rest of us would benefit from hearing. Come on back, friends. Did anyone have like an aha moment or anything interesting that they would like to share as you had your discussion about your values? Sometimes it's interesting, you know, two people have the same value but come at it from such a different perspective. Or they recognize, oh, well, I value this, but you know what, I thought my husband or my kids are valuing this. And so any of that happen in your conversations that you'd like to share about?
I'll respond to something.
Yeah, great, thanks.
Just because I know it's like to have no lead. I think it's really, the cool thing for me that I think I came to this conclusion is, I really don't like when somebody puts me in a box and says I have to do 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually creatively found a way to intertwine more, because several of these words
Kind of go together. Yes.
So I'm like, okay, this word, this word, they go together for me, so I'm just gonna create ones.
Great, that's fine.
But it does, it all overlaps, and there's like an interwovenness of these values in the way that we live.
Yeah, and the way it's played out in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the comments that I made was that we, it's a great list, and every day could be different on which of those things we're truly valuing.
Right.
Today, that's on my list of things that I value. But tomorrow, it's gonna be totally different.
And certainly in a different season of life
Exactly.
or different circumstances.
And that was why I thought about that, was different seasons of life, we look at things differently.
Yeah.
Then, but then as I started to think about it, I'm like, honestly, day to day. I mean, there's always gonna be like 2 or 3 core, but those bottom 2 may change up every day.
Yeah, that's really good insight. And you can imagine, as we're working with teenagers, many of you might have teenagers in your life or in your homes, we work with parents and guardians as well, and we'll do this activity with them and ask them to then ask their children to, what are your values? And, okay, just take a guess. What do you think some of the teenagers are saying their values are? Anybody have a guess?
Video games.
Friendships, relationships, freedom, independence, yeah. Well, risk. Okay, so you can understand that, right? But it's really powerful then when you can say, like, parent and kid, you can say, okay, we have this boundary in our home that's like curfew, right? And I know that you value independence and you value friendships and relationships. And I'm not trying to say that you can't be independent and have your relationships, but there is a boundary in our home because one of my values is safety, or one of my values is family. And so when you can have those kind of conversations and say, like, I understand where you're coming from, that this is core to who you are right now, this is core to who I am, and I really care about you, and so that's why this boundary is in our home. Or if you are, instead of just saying, curfew's at 11, be home, I don't want to hear about it, right? Those are 2 different conversations. So same thing with our mentors and mentees. If we understand, if they've been in traumatic situations, and so right now what they're valuing is like more immediate. It's more what's in front of them and their relationships, anything they can cling on to. We can understand then, like, our perspective of their worldview can change and understand how they might be behaving in a certain way, or they might say a certain thing, whereas to us, we're like, I don't understand how you could possibly be making that choice or say those things, right? And so we do a lot of work with our mentors, kind of just understanding and dismantling, like, our one way to view the world is not the only way. And especially when we're talking about a different generation who's had different experiences than us, we're coming at 2 different playing fields here. But it translates to people anywhere, right? You're going to be working with people who are coming from different situations with you, who might be from a different generation, who might be from different socioeconomic background or have a different family structure. And so the things that we value are going to be different based on those things. And so it's really important to just keep those in mind as we're interacting with people and building those relationships. So the other thing that is really cool that was an aha moment for us is that in our mentor training, we also do a lot of self-care, right? We want to take care of ourselves. We want to make sure that we're filled up so that we can pour out to the young ladies that we're serving. But as we started talking, we're like, we think that what we're valuing actually is connected to self-care. Because if you think about self-care, and I probably should pay attention to my slides. Oh, no, go back. I already was there. Okay. Because if you think about it, what fills us up are going to be things that are important to us. We talk a lot about self-care is what nourishes you, not what numbs you, right? So it's not Netflix and ice cream that numbs you. Sometimes we need that, right? Okay, that's okay. I'm not dissing Netflix and ice cream. But when we talk about true, real self-care, it's what nourishes us. And things that nourish us are likely going to be somewhat aligned to what we value. So for instance, if one of my values is family, if I notice that I'm gone a lot in the evenings and I don't have a lot of quality time with my family and my kids and my husband, I just am going to feel off. And it really is grounding to me to have that quality time with them and make sure my home is a safe and secure place, and then I can go out and do my things. Or if someone is really connected to nature and creativity and they haven't had that time and space to do that and kind of exercise those muscles, they might feel a little off. And so what I'd like for you to do now is just consider, are there any self-care activities that you might be able to implement that are connected to your values? And it might not be a one-to-one, it might be kind of hard, but what I want to just kind of start the thinking process. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to just think on your own, maybe brainstorm some ideas of some self-care activities that might be connected to your values, but then we'll spend some time in groups. And this is usually where the light bulbs start going off and you can start sharing ideas and like, hey, that's actually a good idea. That might be connected to this for me. And so we'll have some time to do that as well. So take just maybe a minute or two. Think on your own. You can flip your paper over. I got some space for you to scratch down some ideas. Start brainstorming some self-care ideas that might be connected to your core values. But I'm going to interrupt just to say, let's get back in your same groups and share some ideas. And please cross-share as you are thinking about the people in your group and kind of what they shared before. And let's see if everyone can have maybe one or two really great ideas that they can take with them. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to talk in your group again, and then we'll come back for our last activity. Okay, I'm going to give you one other chance. Were there any aha moments or any takeaways that you thought were really, really good that you'd like to share? Any self-care ideas that were maybe new to you? Anybody have a takeaway that they're going to take from this activity? Thank you.
It wasn't anything new, but it was the comment that at a certain season in your life, and you base your decisions on influence from others, and you get to a point where you don't really know who you are, and it's like, how can I dig down and, scratch off all that other stuff and discover who I really am. Because I've been in all these, I took certain roles through my career based on influence from others and from me too. But now I'm like, okay, I don't identify with that role anymore. I have a new role. And so who am I?
So good. That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. Anybody else have an aha? Anything they want to take away that they want to share?
I thought it was more challenging than I thought it would be. I think I came up with one that is not necessarily feels like self-care to some people. But if I'm not challenging myself in some way, I feel lost and I feel like I'm not growing. So I will sometimes to a fault, like try and challenge myself to do something, have to be working towards something to feel like I'm growing. So
that's so good.
But sometimes it can not feel like self-care.
Sure. In a way you are taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you value growth and moving forward, then you're taking care of yourself and nourishing that part of you. That's what I think is great about this self-care conversation. Because it really, I think when we think about self-care, we think of bubble baths and candles and TV and wine, but it's not about that. It's about helping nourish ourselves and help us become a better version of ourselves. And so that's a really great example. Thanks for sharing that. Anything else? Yeah.
Sure. One of the ones that I wrote down was basically being open to what I need from my husband. And I value communication, like that is very important to me. And I'm great at talking to people, but I'm not great at sharing like what I need because I'm used to just taking care of myself. And being able to do that, I actually yesterday was able to truly share with him. I'm like, just sort of got it all out. And I actually felt better, and that's what our spouse is for, is to be able to do that.
Letting
and
other people help take care of you.
Yeah, and I'm just not great at it.
I bet a lot of us can identify with that. Yeah. I'm so glad you shared that. That's really good. Well, I hope this is a start of a conversation for you. Like she mentioned, hopefully you can take this and continue to think about it and talk to other people about it. I think it's helpful when we have these conversations in community and hold one another accountable and ask, hey, you said you were going to take more walks in the woods. Are you doing that? Or did you really tell your husband this week that you needed something from him? So I think that's really good. I've got one more activity that I want to make sure we have time for. And this is the Developmental Relationships Framework. So the Search Institute, they're leading researchers and best practice kind of people in the mentoring world. And so they identified 5, and actually you've got a handout if you can find that. They identified 5 elements and they are expressed in 20 different actions. And if we can implement these 5 things in our relationship, then they are developmentally healthy, okay? So they've done research on all these mentor-mentee relationships, and they discovered that these are the best practices that can help a relationship be developmental or healthy and help us grow. So I want to talk about these, and we've got a quick little activity to go with them. Can I have someone from this table? What I want to do is read the name of the value, or not the value, the element, and then just the bolded words underneath. So express care, be dependable, listen, believe in me, be warm, encourage. Okay? Would someone from this table read the challenge growth words for me?
Sure. Expect my best, hold me accountable, stretch, reflect on failures.
Awesome. How about this table back here? Can someone read about providing support?
Navigate, advocate, empower, and set boundaries.
Awesome. And somebody back here, will you talk about sharing power? Read those words for us.
Respect me, include me, collaborate, let me lead.
Awesome. And somebody from this table, will you read about expanding possibilities?
Inspire, broaden, horizons, and connect.
Okay. So thinking about these different ones, what I'd like to do, we're going to split up into 5 groups. You see I put some chart paper around. And I'm going to let you divide among yourselves, just kind of whichever one you're feeling today. And these little headers are on this paper, but what I want you to think about, let's say you're at the express care in that group. I want you to think about some really tangible actions that you can take to express care to someone. That could be being warm, smiling, giving eye contact. Under be dependable, how can you be dependable? What's an action you can take to be dependable? Show up when you say you're going to, right? So I want you to think about as tangible as you can, and just brainstorm a list based on those words under each header. Brainstorm a list of things that you can do to express these, and then we're gonna have a quick time of sharing out after. So I'm gonna give you about 5 minutes. So kind of walk to one of these, there's a marker on the ground, designate somebody to be your scribe, and you've got about 5 minutes to make a list, a tangible list of action items.
When they have success, they don't celebrate them.
Again, I hate to cut off really good conversations, but we're running out of time. So I do want to be able to share out the good things that you came up with. And so what I'd love to do is just go around. If you could quickly designate someone to be your person to share. This group's ready to go. I'd love for you to just remind us, tell us what element you had, and quickly read through your list of ideas. So we're going to start over here with this one, challenge growth.
Yes.
Okay.
For expect my best, stretch, hold me accountable, reflect on failures, we came up with tell me when I do something wrong, provide feedback or steps to improve, self-reflection, try different things, step out of your comfort zone, think outside the box, set challenges and goals, define what my best entails, find someone with similar goals and communicate with each other on accountability, be open-minded, and give grace to yourself.
Those are so good. Excellent work, you guys. Thank you. All right, this group back here. What do you guys have?
We had expand possibilities, which was inspire, broaden horizons, and connect. And we came up with connect others to our resources that we have that we may be able to share with them to help them to move in the direction they want to. Share our past experiences, kind of the same thing. We may be able to help others in sharing what we've done and how we made it through. And encourage open-mindedness and positivity. We talked about how there's a lot of times we'll look at things through the lens of negativity, but if we can encourage others to see the positive in every situation, it will help expand them.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, this group in the back.
I'm still writing. Okay, so we have provide support, and how we can navigate is first listening, and then find common ground. And if that means introducing them to others who have gone through that, building their circle, and looking for our tools to show them how to utilize those. Empower is to find a talent they might not know they have or an interest, and then celebrate when they're excited about a new talent. Advocate is support and guidance and celebrate successes. But then boundaries, set simple boundaries, expectations, and simple limits with a timeline, but also celebrate when they've met those. Celebration through all of it is through every step.
That's so good. Yeah, thank you. Well done. Okay, next group.
We had express care, just showing up when you say you're gonna show up, keeping promises to when you say you're gonna do, being present, staying off of your phone, giving a hug, sending a note, writing a thank you, or just a note of encouragement, smiling, holding the door, expressing appreciation. So if you think that they're a nice, positive person, actually saying that to them, saying thank you, body language, how you sit in front of somebody, eye contact, invite someone, so just that simple invitation of making them feel included, and then also responding. So if someone invites you to respond to that. Pay it forward and then follow through or follow up.
Great, that's a great list. Thank you. Yay. Last but not least.
Okay, we had share power, which included respect me, include me, lead me, and collaborate. The ones that we came up with was ask other questions and brainstorm possibilities, validate and affirm, hear and see people, body language and communication, active listening, and then your tone.
Great. If you think about all of these action steps, if someone in your life were doing these things with you, that would feel really good, wouldn't it? Yeah. And so hopefully today you've got a couple action items, a couple things to think through about yourself that are going to help you enter into relationships in a healthy way, but then also be a good friend to those in your life. So, and we're like totally down to the wire. I'm a couple minutes over and I'm so sorry, but thank you for participating today. You can head back to your seats.